My name is Joelle Taylor, and I write poems and spoken word, plays, novels. I'm a stripper, that kind of thing. What are you saying? And by accident, back in the day, historical term, back in about 2000, I was invited to come and watch the first UK Slam Championship. Now, I was already a poet and a spoken word artist, and none of us knew what slam meant. You know, we're just like, all right. So I went along, and I'm there, and I was having a lovely drink. I was enjoying myself. And then one of the really important poets, you know, some big-ass poet who was supposed to go on, was like ill. And then they looked around the room like, you, show off. And I was invited onto the stage, and I took part in the first UK Slam, and I won the thing. That's what you get. And it was a freestyle slam, but the point of the story is, because of that really stupid, and what I forgot to mention is I've been drinking quite a lot that night. So I was really good, you get me? I was fabulous. And I went on stage and I did these, whatever it was, some freestyles. And I won this UK Slam. And because of that, within a couple of weeks, Ken Livingstone, who was then the mayor of London, remember those days? When we believed in the future. Do you remember them? Ken called me up. Well, actually, he doesn't really know me that well. Kenny, he called me up and he was like, yo, Joe, do you know of anything that, for real, do you know of anything that could access young people who are failing in traditional education, but would allow them to speak the truths about their lives? And I was like, not really. Oh, actually, let's do this thing. Now, slam at that time, so back in 2000, was only really known in the USA, and it was this phenomena in England we knew about that was having people queue around the block to get to gigs. People were queuing to see, like, basically middle-class white people battling. So I set up this thing, which is now called Slamvassadors UK. And initially, it was set up as a way of looking at, targeting, understanding, defeating racism within London, but at the same time celebrating diversity within the city as well. The very first slam I set up was in Chat's Palace. I don't know if you know it, but it's like some seedy place, yeah, in Hackney. I love it. And I got there early. It's not like the Stardust. It's not like your Queenie Queen then. Like, I turn up, and I was like scrubbing the toilets, and I'm scrubbing. And these 16 people got up on stage, and they slammed it, and it was not what we thought was going to happen. Because it was all postcode wars. It was all anger. It was all difference. You get me? But when they got up on that stage, they were united in the face of fear. Now, I'm not proposing that we bring in fear as a social kind of tool. But, or should we? But what happened was these young people, these 12 to 18-year-olds who took the stage that time back in 2001, 2002, remain friends today, back in 2015. We managed to create this incredible artistic network, which was about, and my whole life is about, returning voices back to the silenced, whether it's self-censorship or censorship from the outside. My own story is a little bit chaotic, to say the least. So my experience in school was bizarre, and I can't really remember school till I was 9 years old. And when I got to school, I'll tell you about it later, but I couldn't even spell my name. What I could do, apart from spell my name, is really, really write. And that gave me pause. So that when I set up the slam and I met these people, I realized that there is beauty in the ugly places. There is real strength and power in the things that have happened to these young people. And actually, all we really need is someone to say, yes, you can, mate, and give them a microphone and put them on stage. And I've worked for the last 15 years with people who've been in gangs, asylum seekers, refugees. You. Origami girls and origami boys, all those twisted little people that were us, you get me? It was us. But when you've gone through that, when you've been folded badly and then you're unfolded, then you can go, mate, I get you. And sometimes that's all you need. So rather than bore you with me telling the whole history, in which I appear as fabulous, I'm just going to say I'm fabulous. Oh, shit. If that was a slam, you'd like proper middle class. You're like, ooh. Let's do it again. Is that your working class? The first one was like, ooh. That's middle class. And it was like, ooh. I'm going to do you a couple of poems, and this is all dedicated to each of you because you're fucking amazing. SHP, have my heart, you're incredible. This poem is called Last Poet Standing, and the projection's not there. Here's someone I've worked with, and it's about him. It's amazing. Silenced. So this poem is called Last Poet Standing. Thank you. I'm the last poet standing on this blank stage of bruised pavements, broken with missed opportunities and well-aimed misunderstandings. They say our children are too demanding. The scent of sweat at the base of the spine, carried on wolves of wind, lures the gangs in. Even the air we breathe has chalk lines around it. Police barrier tape surrounds it. Whilst the skin of our streets is tattooed with grin and graffiti, the city's obituary cut by street artists, cultural terrorists, and infantry. Sprayed in blood and ink, see. Our young are force-fed on vulnerability and violence. Their lullabies are the cries of police sirens and the echoes of doors slamming late under midnight moons as wide as children's eyes. She didn't come home again tonight. She never will. But that child will wait for her for the rest of his life, because these canals, these tracks, these umbilical streets, these arteries of our cities are clogged with discarded dreams and shopping trolleys. See, our kids die in school corridors, not just in illegal, intangible, immoral wars, but the simpler war between self-respect and self-esteem. Son, on these roads, it is expected that you will stumble, fumble, humble your grip on your dreams. Well, they are the only things we have, these delusions of equality. So stand up, speak free, exercise linguistic liberty. Shut up and speak. Because disappointment is viral to the point where low expectation equals survival. And when there's little sense of truth, honor, and justice, it is tempting to become tribal. So our thin children have dug themselves into their own fragile skin, and they hide behind sandbags, postcodes, strips of color, and lies, and a cheap pound shop pride. And a knife. There's always a knife that reflects the hand that holds it. See? The blade reflects the hand that holds it. So when you see your face, can you remember your name? Meanwhile, our fathers are pugilists or fetal, boxers or babies, missing in action, an Argos link in a cheap chain reaction that leaves us lost in our own living rooms. And he's just an empty chair, or an empty promise, or the hierarchy of the fist above the kiss, a shadow receding in the mist, retreating in the mist. Fear is your father forgetting your name. Well, it's getting dark. We are a long way from home, and from a distance, those drained and greying tower blocks are gravestones, and every window lit is a word upon it. Well, who's going to write our epitaphs when all the poets have gone? Who's going to write our epitaphs when all the poets have gone? Who's going to write our epitaphs when all these young poets have gone? Because we can never rest in peace, not while police stand guard outside school gates and children have Kentucky Fried complexions. And education is dependent upon government inspection, and knowledge is privilege. While the libraries of our lives are pillaged, we can never rest in peace. Not while children in the UK cannot spell their own names. And they are the monsters beneath their own beds and afraid of themselves. And everything they wish they'd said, and the colour of ink is red. And this whole town is proof marked in blood. Not while there's one poet left standing, see. We have been worshipping false prophets of false prophets. That cult of celebrity, that cynical, cyclical celebration of hypocrisy that allows us to watch the whole outside world like it's reality TV, and our children are bent need. Picking broken glass from their eyes. Broken glass, you see. There was never an end to slavery. We just don't define it anymore simply by ethnicity, but by economy. So can you hear the gangs howling from the plains of Peckham to the hard lands of Hackney because they can scent you? You will see me. You will see poetry written among the broken glass and the graffiti, starring in the shattered lenses of CCTV. You will see poetry. You'll see poetry in the braille of the night sky. Over lengths of time, a parent takes to say goodbye, son. See you soon. In the harvest moon of children's eyes, or that girl, that beautiful girl, perched on the lip of the tower block, proud, wings unfurled, preparing to fly, even in the gangland's wasteland, warrior cries, 'cause every one of them tower blocks is a book. Open it. There is hope in it. There is poetry. Thank you. I was going to show you a picture on that back screen. It's about a boy called Chris Preddy who's in a gang called the Peckham Boys, which weirdly isn't a gay gang. I don't know. I went down and I was like, and they were like, I kill you. Preddy boy, Chris Preddy turns up at my gig back in the day, about 2005, with a mixtape MC. Get me, listen, one of those people. And I was like, yeah, that's lovely. No. Just because it rhymes doesn't mean it's right, love. So he got up on stage, I took his back tape off him, and he stood up and just talked about his life for the first time without any interference or backing, and it was incredible. He won the whole London-wide slam championships, and he really impressed me, so I took him on tour with me. We went around, we were like, and then I taught him how to lead workshops, and he left the gang. He went in a safe house in Finsbury Park. I can give you the address. And boy needs to know. And he used his skills and his poetry and his life to make sure that what happened to him didn't happen to anyone else. And then a couple of years ago, I got a phone call from Chris. I'm going like, yo, listen. And he was in the back of a cab going to ITN because he was getting an OBE. Bastard. So my message is to you, join the gang, leave it. Right, no, not really. Chris Preddy is a very strong and good friend of mine. The picture was of him in a hoodie, right? Like, he's looking really like, But he has OBE, he wrote OBE in gold lit on his hoodie. I love him. And this, the reason I'm showing him my fabulous breasts, is because this face here, is Hussein Manour. Hussein Manour now has almost 1 million followers on YouTube. He's got his own little site called Hussein's House. It's hilarious. He gets like celebrities like Kevin Hart and Jay-Z run to his mum's house. When I met him, he was permanently excluded. It was really, really annoying and really irritating. And he is now. Not really. And now he uses everything he learnt through spoken word and the massive transformative effect it has, not on just the audience, but on yourself, to help other people. So he goes and he does amazing things. And Bob Geldof is now sending him into space, for real. Thank God. So this last poem, because I know you've been absolute incredible stalwarts all night, it's called The Correct Spelling of My Name. And I didn't know how to spell my name when I went to school, because it's well hard. Like, in the early 70s in Lancashire, I thought my name was a question. They're like, Joelle? I was like, So my reading and writing was really high, but anyway, this is about all the young people I've worked with. During Ambassadors, please check us out. If you've got any 12 to 18-year-olds, actually scrub that. If you've got in your heart yourself, you need mentoring, you need some help. You want to say things and you don't know how, and you want a stage, I'm here. This is called Correct Spelling of My Name. You, who write revolutionary symphonies from beneath your single bed. You who type masterpieces on back alley Blackberries that will never be read. You who has never listened to a single word you have said, who stopped listening to yourself years ago at the same time your elders did. You with eyes of sniper slits, you with mouths of trenches, you whose friends are skinny grey birds gathered around broken park benches, pecking at breadcrumbs of crack. You whose hollow bones whistle with other songs, who bought the right shoes but will never belong. You the stiff-tongued, you the mistimed, you the offbeat, you the hurricane-eyed, you pacifist soldiers, you small girls folded into whispering corners, you quiet warriors, furious tomorrows, you with scrubbed-out lips and eyes that are afraid to close, you whose body will not fit into prescribed clothes, irrespective of your size. You switch skin. You survivor of the gender side, you counters of the abacus of stars, you shine eyes, you exploding hearts, you whose mouths are scars, you healing tongues, you who understands two wrongs will never make a writer. You freedom fighter, Saturday night survivor, long distance smiler, and you who found your dream but could not spell it. Who sat at the back of the class deciphering whiteboard hieroglyphics, you freestyling dyslexics, council estate prophets, urban mystics, who published poems on street corners from the printing press of your lips, whose eyes when cornered are a total eclipse, you who only learned in school that you were stupid, that your name was could do better, you who must work harder in you, who retreats to the far corners of the cave of your hood, who learned to beatbox by following the pattern of fist against skin through a closed bedroom door. You are loved, even you, with eyes of television static, who practices your heartbeat on split lips as soft and ripped as inner sleeve lyrics, you magical misfits, stuttering in the shadows of the playground, muttering a hidden language. You for whom the streets are your heritage. You who tattoos poetry against sediment skin of tenement buildings. You who never asked, who never questioned, for fear of not knowing, for fear of rejection in you. Quiet eye of the classroom storm, who wait most of your life just to be born, who crouches in the corner of the club proof, marking your body. You who was raised in captivity, who spits on the rusting links of your parents' economic slavery, you rocking boy, you flickering girl who traces a map of an undiscovered world on your inner arm. How can they call it self-harm? You who seek your identity at darkened parties in the clouded faces of strangers. You who traces your ancestry with broken fingers, you beautiful believers, courageous care leavers. You who was once lynched from a branch of your own family tree. You whose anger is hereditary, whose smile is a flashing blade, whose weakness is brave, whose eyes are shallow graves in which each of your parents are buried. See, some lose their families at the supermarket, at the checkout. Or was it the chill out? Or was it the skinny walk home? You, who is a poem you're afraid no one will read. Believe You are not a mark on a piece of paper. You are a prayer. All of you who see a difficult sun when you close your eyes, rise. You have found your tribe. Thank you. SHP! Thanks so much, everybody. Thank you.